Okay. First of all, we would like to say shalom to all our brothers and sisters. We have a very important broadcast today, this Sabbath. It took us a while to come on because right before we came on, key information was founded. So we had to just double check the information to make sure it was right. And the lesson is still ongoing, but I thought we would give you what we have up until this time. Now the lesson will be based on the times according to the Most High. Also, we're going to give the true understanding on holy days. Now, first of all, the brother name was Jermaine, right? In Florida. First of all, a brother reached out to me that's working under Brother and Elder Fresnel in Florida. And he had some detailed information to relay concerning the times. Now, it was information we went over before, but he's seen a conflict. All right. Now, we're not one, if we see a conflict, we're not going to ignore it and say, well, we know everything. We're going to examine the conflict because the Bible says we see through a glass dimly. And the Most High has given us time under grace to get things correct. Now, while he didn't have all the information, what he did, he went into the calendar to see that it wasn't meshing with the calendar that the Most High gave us from the beginning. And the key things he went into, I had to study. So we went and studied it, and it led us down a path for the last couple of weeks. And it also, it's humbling in a way through the Spirit of the Most High, because the understanding that the Most High bestowed on us through this teaching is opening a window for us to be on the same clock as the Most High and the angels. It's also, we went into the research to show you how and who went through great lengths to separate us from our original calendar and from our holy days. It was a mission by the Roman Empire upheld by the Western worlds today. The Western World Empire. This is of great significance, scripturally and religiously. Now, some people might ask, and say, it doesn't matter what time we're in. It doesn't matter what day we're in. It doesn't matter what day we worship. Well, Christians may say that. I'll follow God every day of the week, so I'll worship on Sunday. But let's see what the Bible says. Let's go to Hosea, the 6th chapter. Hosea 6. Excuse me, there's no Eastwood on here? Okay. All right, I got it. So the scriptures we're going into today is to get the right time, or the understanding of time, or who distorted time according to the Most High. Let's get Hosea 6:1.
Hosea chapter 6 verse 1.
Go ahead.
Come, And let us return unto the Most High.
Come and let us return unto the Most High. Read.
For he hath torn,
For he hath torn,
and he will heal us.
and he will heal us. So the Most High torn us. That's why we're in the condition we are today as a people. That's why the other nations have been ruling over us. He took his hedge from over his people for a time. But he will what?
And he will heal us.
And he will heal us. Go ahead.
He hath smitten,
The Most High have smitten the children of Israel. Go ahead.
and he will bind us up.
But yet he will bind us up. Read.
Verse 2. After 2 days will he revive us.
After what?
After 2 days will he revive us.
After 2 days from the time Christ's crucifixion, from Christ's time on the earth, he was given a time period in which the Most High would begin to bind us up or to awaken us. And that begins with Christ's birth. Read.
After 2 days will he revive us.
After 2 days from the time of Christ, the children of Israel will begin to awaken from their sleep. All right? What is that 2 days? Hold that and get 2 Peter 3 and 8.
This is the book of 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8.
Go ahead.
But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing,
Be not ignorant of this one thing,
that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day.
the Bible says 1 day with the Lord is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is 1 day. So when it tells us in Hosea, the 6th chapter from Christ's time, in 2 days will he revive us, it was speaking of 2,000 years. All right? So Satan understands how much time he have to rule within this earth. So we've used technology and linked in with the Roman Empire and the Gentiles to keep us asleep while he planned our demise, which the Bible calls Jacob's trouble. On top of that, they're looking to get into the heavens through the NASA program and the space program and use their technology that was built on earth to actually fight against the Most High. But we know that the Most High and Christ have a trick for him. Let's go to Matthew 24 and 13.
This is the book of St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 13.
No, let's go to the 22nd verse where it tells you his days shall be short.
Yes, sir. 24 and 22.
Go ahead.
And except those days should be shortened.
See that? So originally he had 2,000 years. So since Satan and the elite and the Gentiles knew how much time they had, they set a bar in place in which they would exterminate a number of people from this earth within the time they believed they had, which was 2,000 years from Christ. Read.
And except those days should be shortened.
But except the Most High shortened those days that was given to these governments to rule,
there should no flesh be saved.
none of us would live through this. With the GMO crops, the vaccine program, the ramping up of armies, the total degradation of society, the cross-splicing of species, the rise of what they call homosexuality, but the Bible calls it sodomites and sodomy, the rise of immorality, with their sonar weapons that they're killing the animals in the sea with, sonar weapons they're using with the HAARP system. So this is meticulous based on the fact that their time is running out. But the Bible says, unless the Most High shorten his days,
There should no flesh be saved.
not one of us would make it through this. Unless the Most High had grace on his creation and shortened the time, none of us would be left. Read.
But for the elect's sake,
But for our sake, not for these people's sake that's out there, not for Christians' sake, not for Muslims' sake, for his elect's sake. Read.
but for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened.
He's going to shorten the time Satan have before they utterly destroy us. The Most High have given us grace to give us an opportunity to find out what's going on, to be that the few in cluster that make it through Jacob's trouble. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So some may ask out there, well, who's the elect? Let's go to Isaiah, the 45th chapter.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 4.
Go ahead.
For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect.
And Israel mine what?
Mine elect.
And Israel mine elect. So for Israel's sake, those days that Satan or the New World Order, whatever you want to call them people, the Roman Empire, Babylon, the Babylonian, spiritual Babylonians, the Romans, the Roman Catholics, we know their agenda. Their agenda is to eradicate the children of Israel. But our God said that he would shorten their time for our sake. Now, how did they distort the time? How is it we don't know what year we're in, what day we're in, what day we should be celebrating? How is it the whole earth, which was at one point of time, all separated and fragmented into different calendars and different understandings? How is that so? Well, we know that that's the spirit of the Gentiles. And also we know that Satan is over this world, because the Most High is not the author of confusion. The Most High always operated on one clock. There's only one clock. See, but if you can link into that time and be on the Most High's clock, then you can see clearly the deception. See, so what did they do? They set an alternative reality within these cities to program us and to disconnect God's people from the Most High's clock. So to speak, so that you can understand me in layman's term, to cut us off of the Most High's frequency. So that you can understand on a level that I'm speaking. Just like if you're turning a channel on a TV until you get to the right channel, now you're in sync with that particular channel. So they realize that if they can throw off our clock, they could destroy our culture. Why? Our people, the children of Israel, was different than the Gentiles. Everything we did was surrounded around commands to stay on the Most High's frequency. It was embedded within our culture. The time we eat, the time we harvest, the time we deal with holy days, the time, everything, the time that we rest, the time we work, the time we went to worship, everything was in league or in sync with the heavenly realm. When we were operating, the angels were operating. When we were resting, the angels were resting. When we were sacrificing, yes, there is a temple in heaven. The temple in the earth is only a facsimile or a similitude of the heavenly tabernacle. So everything we did in earth, the angels and the Most High was operating in heaven. When the Gentiles came along, they broke us from that cycle. And when did it happen? Captivity. It happened a little before we were utterly destroyed. And we're going to show you how it happened. First of all, so that we don't put the cart before the horse, what cycle should we be following? Well, the Most High showed Moses, and he showed a great teacher and a great leader before the flood, Enoch. So let's go back to the beginning, before our destruction. As a matter of fact, let's start with Enoch. What we have here, now some may ask, well, who's Enoch? I don't know who Enoch is. Good question. Let's go to the book of Jude. Let's go to the book of Jude. Now, believe it or not, brothers and sisters, we can have a complete dissertation for about 3 hours on Enoch alone. Go to the book of Jude and read the 14th verse.
This is the book of Enoch, the book of Jude, verse 14.
Go ahead.
And Enoch also the seventh from Adam prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints, to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him.
You can read this same verse in the book of Enoch, chapter 1, verse 9 on down. To prove to you, the disciples of Christ was reading the book of Enoch. So you must ask yourself a question. If Jude, a disciple of Christ, knew of Enoch, of course, Christ knew of Enoch. These were records of the Hebrews. We have a book of Enoch here. Why? Because it's the records of our forefathers. Now, the Roman Catholic Church will tell you don't read Enoch. And there is records of Enoch that's not legit. And they did that on purpose to keep you away from the original translation that was found in the Qumran caves. So I would suggest you stay with the original record, which is Enoch 1, translated out of R.H. Charles if you're going to read the record. All the others have been tainted. All right, that's number one. It's a record of the Hebrews. Now, why is it the Roman Catholic Church don't want you to know about Enoch? Well, in a nutshell, go to Hebrews 11 first. Hebrews 11 and 5. You can read it from here, that's fine.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 5.
Go ahead.
By faith Enoch was translated.
By faith Enoch was translated. This was before the flood. Go ahead.
That he should not see death.
That he should not see death.
And was not found, because the Most High had translated him.
He was not found because the Most High did what?
Had translated him.
The Most High translated him. So some may ask you, well, what happened to Enoch? What do it mean he was translated? This was before the flood. Now, I'm going to tell you why the Roman Catholic Church and your Christian church don't want to talk about Enoch. If you go into Enoch, you will identify the gods the Catholic Church burned candles to and sacrificed to. They follow the fallen angels, and the knowledge they have to get their technology came from fallen angels and their children. Okay? I can't go into the full lesson on Enoch, but I'll tell you this. They're definitely worshiping the fallen angels that's spoken of in Enoch. On your Paramount pictures, when you see the stars coming out of heaven going around the mount, Enoch speaks of that. It's the angels coming to the earth to land on Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon. And they would make you think these are mythological characters. That before the flood, there was all these different animals and different Tyrannosaurus rexes and all these things. These were animals, crossbred animals. excuse me, these were crossbred animals, species created from the Most High's creation that was destroyed in the flood. The same toys you may get your children, dinosaurs and all that, these are demonic animals that were killed before the floods, not 1 billion years ago, which is a bold-faced lie. Okay? Also, the gods they worship are the fallen angels. They burn candles to them, the Roman Catholic Church. One of the main angels that was bound during this time is the angel Azazel. Yes. Now, you may know him as another name. The Egyptians called him Osiris. And at the bottom of the Great Pyramid of Giza, it's in stone that Osiris is bound there. Enoch speaks of this, that the angel Uriel, the angels came down and bound him in the desert Dudael. The pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Giza, was built before the flood. And it's a time stamp. It's not only a sundial, it's a time stamp of how long before these so-called angels will be judged. But of course, the Most High told us in Matthew 24 that their days will be short. Now listen, now you understand why your Council on Foreign Relations, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, all your elite goes to the pyramid to worship the fallen angel. See, that's why they won't let you read this information in church. It would break you free from your bondage, your spiritual bondage. Now there's more. The Most High gave Enoch a cycle from the beginning that we were not to deviate at any time. Because if we fall off of that cycle, the Gentiles would eventually overpower God's people. Let's go through the cycle according to Enoch. All right? Now, of course, the powers that be could care less if you know now. Okay? The reason they don't care anymore is because they have assumed their one world order and set up their grid, their military grid all over the earth, and have put their space weapons out in space. That was the total mission. Now that they have got a grid on the earth and got their technology in place to destroy people without hand, they could care less if you know. Okay? They could care less. But at the times when they were just getting this off the ground, they needed the majority of the population sleep. And why? Because they needed our participation. They needed us to help them build this construct. But now that their construct has been assumed, it doesn't matter anymore to them. Now, let's go into some of the cycles so we can understand what time we're in according to Enoch. And what I'll do is I'll compare it to the times we're used to following. Like, for instance, today, you notice our calendar, our so-called calendar, have what? 300 and what? They say 64, 65 days? 365 days, which is utterly ridiculous. Then they got a leap year coming in. Then they can have daylight saving time and jump up an hour, back an hour. Right? Doing all these different things. But let's see what time it is according to the Bible. Now, of course, we had to refer back to Enoch because it says by faith, Enoch was translated in Hebrews 11:5. That he should not see death, and was not found because the Most High had translated him. And before this translation, before the Most High took him into the heavens to tell him the judgment of the fallen angels, he had this testimony that he pleased the Most High. And for those who think that the Most High is not setting up man to judge these same angels, Paul said the same thing. Know ye not that ye will judge angels? What angels? The fallen angels, and they're still fallen. Okay? Of course, the news programs are lying to you. So when something is coming into our atmosphere, they'll tell you it was a meteorite. Okay? These are fallen angels. Now, let's go into it. Let's go into the cycles from the beginning.
This is the book of. Let me start. It speaks about 364 days.
No, we're going to just read the whole thing on the sun
Okay, all right.
from the beginning.
This is the book of Enoch, chapter 72, verse 1.
Go ahead.
The book of the courses of the luminaries of the heaven.
This is the book of the courses of the luminaries of heaven.
The relations of each according to their classes, their dominion, and their seasons, according to their names and places of origin.
According to their names and places of origin. The Most High have set up angels to deal with the courses outside of our earth. It's ironic, no coincidence, that these same portals that the Most High have put outside the earth, they have you worship them under the horoscope. We're going to show you that. On top of that, this world called them planets. But they're actually luminaries working simultaneously with the earth to keep things in balance and in order according to the original courses of the Most High. All right? So don't believe you're a scientist when they tell you that everything you see in the universe came from some big bang and all of a sudden all this order came out of chaos. Okay? The stars in heaven, everything you see is in proper order from the master orderer. Okay? So let's speak about how this happens so that we'll understand that, so that we can actually get on the right course. And see, they knew we would eventually figure it out. They just needed to keep us asleep long enough to help them build their construct. Read.
The book of the courses of the luminaries of the heaven.
Go ahead.
The relations of each, according to their classes, their dominion, and their seasons, according to their names and places of origin.
Go ahead.
And according to their months.
And according to their months. And one thing that's good about this is that after today, we'll be able to put the holy days that we were deceived in following in the past away. We'll also be able to put the lunar calendar theory and all that stuff totally away. Because even those that's following the lunar calendar and all that will flawlessly be able to relate to this information flawlessly. Because they were on course with their thinking, but they were off course by dealing with the moon. We're going to bring it to you. Read.
And according to their months, which Uriel, the angel who was with me, who is their God, showed me.
So it's Uriel that's guiding the luminaries. He's the angel that the Most High appointed. See, the angels are in perfect order and rank under the Most High. We know Lucifer was high in rank before he fell, and 1/3 of those who was under his rank fell to the earth with him. In the beginning, after man was created. Why? Because he didn't understand why he should minister to the Most High's creation. Why should he minister to something that he helped create? So he wanted to be upheld as a God since he was early in creation. Eventually, he took Adam's dominion through the fall. Read.
And he showed me all their laws exactly as they were, and how it is with regard to all the years of the world and unto eternity.
See that? He showed Enoch all the years of the world to eternity, till the end. So, of course, they don't want you reading this information. They just tell you just go to church and clap your hands and pay tithes, and that's all you need to know, and just call on Jesus. You don't need to know this information. Read.
Till the new creation is accomplished, which dureth till eternity. And this is the first law of the luminaries.
And this is the first law of the luminaries.
The luminary, the sun, has its rising in the eastern portals of the heaven,
Go ahead.
and its setting in the western portals of the heaven.
Go ahead.
And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises, and 6 portals in which the sun sets.
6 in which it riseth, and 6 which it sets. You notice that's 12 portals. These 12 portals have now been turned into your horoscope. Knowing that everyone is born under one of these cycles. Now, is there an attribute that comes with being born under one of these cycles? Absolutely yes. But we were not supposed to know about it. You understand? We were not supposed to know. You were supposed to engage someone to find out their personality, not figure out things about them. Because why? If you know things prior, you can use that same information to manipulate. Okay? We were not supposed to know. The fallen angels taught mankind this. And therefore, they could use psychology to urge people to do the will of Satan. Yes, the horoscopes is evil on a high level. Is it true with the attributes? Absolutely correct. But we're not supposed to deal with it. It's necromancy. Go ahead.
And the moon rises and sets in these portals, and the leaders of the portals and those whom they lead, 6 in the east and 6 in the west.
There's 6 in the east and 6 in the west. And Paul said, be careful. Let someone beguile you in the involuntary worshiping of angels. Let's get that real quick. And that's why Paul said that. You're worshiping angels when you deal with the horoscopes.
This is Colossians. Colossians chapter 2, verse 16. 13.
Read it.
And you being dead in your sins, and the uncircumcision of your flesh have quickened together with him, having forgiven all trespasses.
I got it.
18. Let no man beguile you.
Let no man beguile you
of your reward.
Of your reward.
In a voluntary humility.
In an involuntary humility, which means you're voluntary and humbling yourself into this.
And worshiping of angels.
In worshiping of angels. But let no man trick you into involuntarily humbling yourself to deal with these spirits, or to humble yourself, and you're going to find yourself following a fallen angel or a luminary in heaven. Now, Satan have transitioned all your worships to give glory to luminaries because, like I said before, he figured they came first in creation and man should be last. So you notice all your pagans worship the sun, worship the moon, worship creation, and we're low on the totem pole. That's involuntary worshiping of angels. Let's go back to these portals.
This is Enoch chapter 7, 72, verse 4.
Go ahead.
Verse 4. It says, in the following, and all following each other in exactly corresponding order.
Go ahead.
Also many windows to the right and left of these portals.
Go ahead.
And first there goes forth the great luminary named the sun.
Named the sun.
And his circumference is like the circumference of the heaven. And he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire.
Now you notice it's calling the sun a he. Read.
the chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives.
Go ahead.
And the sun goes down from the heaven and returns through the north in order to reach the east. And is so guided that he comes to the appropriate portal and and shines in the face of the heaven.
Go ahead.
In this way he rises in the first month in the great portal,
He rises the first month in the great portal, saying the first month of the year. Go ahead.
which is the fourth, those 6 portals in the east.
Go ahead.
And in the fourth portal from which the sun rises in the first month are 12 window openings,
Go ahead.
from which proceed a flame. And when they are opened in their season, when the sun rises in the heaven, he comes forth through the fourth portal 30 mornings in succession.
So the first month is 30 mornings. Read.
And sets accurately in the fourth portal in the west of the heaven. And during this period, the day becomes daily longer, and the night nightly shorter to the 30th morning.
Go ahead.
On that day, the day is longer, and the night by a ninth part. And the day amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts.
So this is how they messed up the divide. Okay. Later on, the Egyptians came up with a 24-hour calendar. Now, we were dealing with a 24-hour calendar too, but they broke it up. You understand? Instead of 1 hour being 60 minutes under the Egyptians, who made it simple, we were dealing with 80 minutes. We broke it down into 18 parts opposed to 12 parts. So there was 18 parts in our cycle, and it was 12 parts in theirs. And you understand? So they consolidated it smaller. You understand? To make it a 24-hour calendar, and broke it down into 12 parts. You understand? And we did the research on it. And when you see our new website, you'll have all the charts to show you from time exactly what they did from time to time. You understand? Read on.
It says, when the sun rises in the heaven, he comes forth through that fourth portal 30 mornings in succession.
Go ahead.
And sets accurately in the fourth portal in the west of the heaven. And during this period, the days become daily longer, and the night nightly shorter to the 30th morning. On that day, the day is longer, and the ninth by a ninth part. And the day amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts.
Go ahead.
And the sun rises from the fourth portal and sets in the fourth, and returns to the fifth portal of the east 30 mornings.
Go ahead.
And rises from it, and sets in the fifth portal. And then the day becomes longer by 2 parts, and amounts to 11 parts.
Go ahead.
And the night becomes shorter, and amounts to 7 parts. And it returns to the east and enters into the sixth portal, and rises and sets in the sixth portal, 1 30 mornings on account of its sign.
Now it's doing 31. So we know the first month is 30, the second month 30, and the third month is 31. There's going to be an extra day for a change of season throughout the year. And what you're going to have, if you do this 4 times, 364 complete days. Now listen to this clearly. How do you understand this? So this is what's going on here. You got 364 days out of a year that flawlessly go into a Most High's Jubilee of 7. 7 goes into 364 how many times? 52 times. 5 and 2, 7. That's a complete cycle. 364 days. And they have deceived the people through the Babylonians, the Egyptians, and up to the Romans to have you look at a circumference of 360. Now I'm going to show you something here. What you're seeing here is an actual timestamp according to the original year. Now, we can't go into our time unless we first realize what a year was. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 extra days, which make your 4 days, and you got the rest 360. Also showing a change of seasons, perfect time, no leap years, no daylight saving time, no nothing. Now, finish reading because there's a few other things we have here that I need to break down so we can go into the culprits who lied to us and gave us a false clock. Go ahead.
It says, and then the day becomes longer by 2 parts and amounts to 11 parts.
Go ahead.
And the night becomes shorter and amounts to 7 parts. And it returns to the east and enters into the 6th portal and rises and sets in the 6th portal 1:30 mornings on account of its sign.
That's 31 days. Go ahead.
On that day the day becomes longer than the night, and the day becomes double the night. And the day becomes 12 parts, and
Go
the
ahead.
night is shortened and becomes 6 parts. And the sun mounts up to make the day shorter and the night longer. And the sun returns to the east and enters into the 6th portal, and rises from it and sets 30 mornings.
Go ahead.
When the 30 mornings are accomplished, the day decreases by exactly 1 part and becomes 11 parts, and the night 7. And the sun goes forth, and from that 6th portal in the west, and goes to the east and rises in the 5th portal for 30 mornings,
Go ahead.
and sets in the west again in the 5th western portal.
Now we're going into the fall time. Go ahead.
And that day the day decreases by 2 parts and amounts to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun goes forth from that portal and sets in the 5th portal of the west, and rises in the 4th portal 1:30 mornings on account of its sign, and sets in the west. On that day the day is equalized with the night and becomes of equal length.
Go ahead.
And the night amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts. And the sun rises from the portal and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises 30 mornings in the 3rd portal, and sets in the west in the 3rd portal.
Go ahead.
And on that day the night becomes longer than the day. The night becomes longer than night, and the day shorter than day.
And you notice when it's began to get cold, you get less sun. Perfect cycle. When it start getting hot, you get more sun. Summer, what they call summer, what you got spring, summer, and what they call fall or autumn. Finish reading.
And on that day the night becomes longer than the day, the night becomes longer than night, and the day shorter than day till the 30th morning.
Go ahead.
And the night amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the day to 8 parts. And the sun rises from that 3rd portal and sets in the 3rd portal in the west and returns to the east.
Go ahead.
And for 30 mornings rises in the 2nd portal in the east. And in like manner sets in the 2nd portal in the west of the heaven.
Go ahead.
And on that day the night amounts to 11 parts, and the day to 7 parts. And the sun rises on that day from the 2nd portal and sets in the west in the 2nd portal, and returns to the east in the 1st portal for 1:30 mornings.
1:30 mornings. Go ahead.
And sets in the 1st portal in the west of the heaven. And on that day the night becomes longer and amounts to the double of the day. And the night amounts exactly to 12 parts, and the day to 6.
Go ahead.
And the sun has therewith traversed the divisions of his orbit, and turns again on the divisions of his orbit, and enters that portal 30 mornings, and sets also in the west opposite to it.
Go ahead.
And on that night has the night decreased in length by a 9th part, and the night has become 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. and the sun has returned and entered into the second portal in the east, and,
Go ahead.
and returns on those his divisions of his orbit for 30 mornings,
Go ahead.
rising and setting. And on that day the night decreases in length, and the nights amount to 10 parts, and the day to 8.
Now we're dealing in the winter time. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And on that day the night decreases in length, and the night amounts to 10 parts, and the day to 8. And on that day the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises in the third portal for 31 mornings, and sets in the west of the heaven. On that day the night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts. And the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as to its days, 364. And the length of the day and of the night, and the shortness of the day and of the night arise. Through the course of the sun, these distinctions are made; they are separated. So it comes that its course becomes daily longer, and its course nightly shorter. And this is the law and the course of the sun, and is returned as often as he returns 60 times and rises. The great luminary which is named the sun forever and ever. And that which thus rises is the great luminary, and is so named according to its appearance, according to the Most High, as the Most High commanded. As he rises, so he sets, and decreases not, and rests not, but runs day and night. And his light is sevenfold brighter than that of the moon. But as regards size, they are both equal.
Now, the key point that you can get into this, and I'm going to go into it because these are all the phases of the sun. But the key point to give us the time of the beginning of the year is to go the day before the first day. Why? Because that's the only twice in the year where you have equal sun and equal day and equal night. 12 hours day, 12 hours night, and that's the day before the new year. Okay? It also does that a day after autumn. So you can easily find the new year. So what we did did the research, and we went into the astrological calendar of time to look at the sunrise and sunset, and we have it here. And we were able to figure out the first day of the year, of every year, based on equal part sun, day, and equal part night. Once that happens, we know that's the last day of the year, and then the next morning will begin the new year. Now, they fooled the world. They made everyone believe that it was the regular vernal equinox. The Romans lied and told people that the sun rise for the new year of spring, March 20th. And if you believe that, it would automatically make you believe that the Sabbath falls on a Tuesday. Right? But it don't. We did the research and realized March 20th, the day before, doesn't give you equal day and equal night. It don't give you 12 hours light, 12-hour darkness. And then we got a reference point to show us that the Romans and our people and our government deceived us so that we would know when the year come in. The vernal equinox 2012, first day of spring myth busted. I need you to read this article for the brothers and sisters there.
Sir, this is for National Geographic.
National Geographic.
Dated March 20th, 2012. In the Northern Hemisphere, winter officially ended at 1:14 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, March 20th, 2012, the vernal equinox or spring equinox, making today the first day of spring. But don't be fooled
Don't be fooled.
by the old rumor that the spring equinox of length of day is exactly equal to the length of night. The true days of day and night equality always fall before the vernal equinox.
See that? Same thing as Enoch told us. Now they put this in where? The National Geographic. Now, how many of our people read the National Geographic? Now tell the truth. They lied to you. They set up a new spring so that you will never know the first day of the year. That's number one. But we did the calculations and we know exactly when it is. On top of that, I thank the Most High because guess what? Our Sabbaths fall right on top. Every Friday to sundown and Saturday to sundown is the Sabbath, and it never changed since the beginning because the Most High stayed on a cycle of 7. They never changed that. But they changed the vernal equinox so we wouldn't know the time. And if you go off of their vernal equinox, you'll believe that the Sabbath is Tuesday. And see, and this is why the Christian church say, listen, well, we don't care what it is. They done did so much switching around, we're just going to go on Sundays. But now they're not going to have any excuse either. Because we're going to show you that we're on the right time as far as the weekly cycle. The 7-day cycle. So our Sabbath is flawless. Okay? Which means when that first day come in, we count 7 days. It's Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. And it does that for a 364-day cycle for 52 weeks flawlessly. Finish reading.
It says, but don't be fooled by the old rumor that the spring equinox, the length of days, is exactly equal to the length of night.
Go ahead.
The true days of day-night equality always falls before the vernal equinox.
Always fall before the vernal equinox. And if you go on any of the astrological NASA sites, they will point you to March 20th on purpose. You have to actually go and put the coordinates in yourself from Jerusalem. And then look at each time stamp to know when there's equal day and equal night, 12 hours day and 12 hours night. You will see it. You will see the sun rise at a certain time, 5:49, and it'll set at 5:49. You know you got 12 hours day, you know that's the day before the new year. We even researched the coordinates to put in straight from Jerusalem, and we did it from Mount Sinai. And we're going to give you all the site in which you can actually look at it yourself. Okay? Now, it's important that we be on the right time. And I'm going to show you why a little later. They knew that if we were on the Most High cycle and stayed on his frequency, that the Most High would operate with his people like he did in the past. Okay? The only way you can get anything in this world if you operate on Satan's frequency. You understand? But there's another, and I'm putting this in verbiage or terminology you and I understand. There's another frequency that circumvents this plane. Finish reading what you have.
It says, the true days of day-night equality always falls before the vernal equinox.
Always fall before the vernal equinox. Read.
And after the autumnal or fall equinox.
And there's one that happens right after the fall equinox. Even day, even night. Go ahead.
According to Geoff Chester, a public affairs specialist with the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C., Exactly when it happens depends on where you are located on the surface of the earth, he said. By the time the center of the sun passes over the equator, the official definition of equinox, the day will be slightly longer than the night everywhere on earth.
Go ahead.
The difference is a matter of geometry.
Also in this article, I don't read the whole article because it's about 11 pages, but also in this article, it tells you that the Roman Catholic Church linked in with your people of commerce to set the vernal equinox to surround the Easter commerce season so that you can celebrate Easter, so that you can be in the full spirit of operating during Easter. That's what it's all about. It wasn't about the time. It was to set everything up from the satanic Babylonian calendar. Now, I have another thing. This is something else. Listen to this, brothers and sisters. What I'm about to read to you, the reference is the Hephaestion Book of Thebes, Book 1, Volume 6. Because I needed some history on who came along and brought us this mess and had us go on another calendar opposed to the Most High's calendar. Now, if you want to know about some calendars, hey, I got all the Roman calendars for you here. All right? You talking about some madness and why the Most High wanted us to be on our day. I mean, they have some calendars where it's 8-day weeks. They got some 9-day weeks. They have some 7-day weeks. I mean, you talking about some crazy mess from the Romans. I went through all their calendars and realized that the Most High said a foolish nation will rule over us. They have it where they don't even know what time it is no more. Okay? Now, but let's get back to the Enoch calendar. I'm going to go into that Roman calendar in a moment. But here's some information about what they did and how they were able to move us from following the right time of year 364 days. All right? I need you, hold up. I don't want to put the cart before the horse. Let's hold this. Let's hold this for a moment. Let's get the book of Jubilees. Before you get the book of Jubilees, let's get 2nd Ezra, the 14th chapter, to verify that the book of Jubilees is authentic.
Oh, this is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 14, verse 1.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass upon the 3rd day, I sat under an oak tree, and behold, there came a voice out of a bush over against me, and said, Esdras, Esdras. And I said, Here am I, Lord.
Here am I, Lord. Go ahead.
And I stood upon my feet. Then said he unto me, In the bush I did manifestly reveal myself unto Moses.
In the bush I manifestly revealed myself unto Moses. Go ahead.
And talked with him when my people served in Egypt. And I sent him and led my people out of Egypt.
So this is the same God speaking to Esdras that spoke to Moses, the God of the Hebrews. Read.
And brought him up to the Mount of Sinai.
Go ahead.
Where I held him by me a long season.
Where I held him by me a long season.
And told him many wondrous things. And showed him the secrets of the times.
And showed him the secrets of the times. Now, Ezra seen the secret of the times. And he's telling Esdras how long we have according to the time that Esdras was on the earth. He says the time is broken down into 12 parts. Now I've done many lessons on those 12 parts to show us how much time we have. And if I have time in this lesson, I'll go back, I'll just do a refresher on the 12 parts. But the key point I'm bringing out of Esdras is that the Most High showed Moses the secrets of the times. But yet you can't find that in the Bible. Why? He told Moses to hold some things and to hide some things. Read it. It's going to show you that. Read it.
2 Esdras, chapter 14, verse 5. And told him many wondrous things, and showed him the secrets of the times
Secrets of the times
and the end.
and the end.
And commanded him, saying, These words shalt thou declare.
I'm going to give you some words to declare, and that's what we see in our first 5 books of Moses. Read.
And these shalt thou hide.
And these shalt thy what?
And these shalt thou hide.
And that's why you haven't been given from your churches the book of Jubilees. What's Jubilee? A 7. So when the Most High did his creation in a cycle of 7, that would be the cycle until eternity, until the new creation. Everything would work off of 7 so that you cannot forget the Sabbath. First day is Sunday, or what they call Sunday, but it's really 1. And the last day is 7. On and on and on and on until the end. It's that simple. So there's no excuse for a Christian to pop up today and say, well, I don't know what day the Sabbath is. Well, you got 364 days in a year. Okay? You divide that by 52, and you got 52 Sabbaths every year. Right on point. So you can't make an excuse to say no one knows when the Sabbath falls. The Most High is not the author of confusion. 7 goes into 364, 52 times. 5 and 2, 7. The Most High have always worked on the cycle of 7. All right? Now, finish reading what you have there. I need you to go in the book of Jubilees, because Jubilees was showed to Moses the end. But I need you to go specifically into the Most High warning us and warning Moses what would happen if we began to follow the course or the times and calendars of the Gentiles. Read.
This is the book of Jubilees, chapter 6, verse 30.
Go ahead.
And all the days of the commandment will be 52 days of weeks of days.
How many?
And all the days of the commandment will be 52 weeks of days.
52 weeks of days. See that? 52 going to 364 flawlessly. You see how Jubilees linked right to Enoch? Go ahead.
And these will make the entire year complete.
And this will make the entire year complete. Go ahead.
Thus it is engraven and ordained on the heavenly tablets, and there is no neglecting this commandment.
And there's no neglecting this commandment. We must stay with this command. Go ahead.
For a single year, or from year to year. Verse 32. And command thou the children of Israel.
And command the children of Israel, that's us,
that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days.
So it was commanded by the Most High that we observe 364 days, no leap years, none of that other garbage they have. Read.
And these will constitute a complete year.
And these will constitute a complete year. Go ahead.
And they will not disturb its time from its days and from its feast.
Go ahead.
For everything will fall out in them according to their testimony. And they will not leave out any day, nor disturb any feast. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment,
if you don't do this according to the command, read.
Then they will disturb all their seasons.
Then they will disturb all of their seasons. Go ahead.
And the years will be dislodged from this order.
And the years will be dislodged from its order. Go ahead.
And they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged.
So because we're not following our seasons correctly and our holy days correctly, the whole earth is out of course. It snows in the summer. The whole earth is out of course. I know we have all these things. We talk about the HAARP system and all that. But the way we operate in the earth affects the whole course of the earth. The same way from the beginning when Adam sinned, a curse came on all creation. So since we're out of course, the whole earth is out of course. And see, the powers that be understand this. So it's their job to keep us out of course. Oh, the law done away with, brother. Eat what you want, do what you want, whatever you want to do it, sister. Because Jesus loves you. And if you try to do what's right, you try to follow God's law, God don't love you. Listen to this clearly. Read it.
This is Jubilee 6 in the middle of verse 33.
I'm going to show you where we'll go off at. Read.
It says, and they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged. And they will neglect their ordinances.
They will neglect their ordinances. Read.
And all the children of Israel will forget, and they will go wrong as to all the order of the years.
Go ahead. They will go wrong for all the orders of the years. Now that the Most High have put us on the right time to understand, it's easily to figure out how many years we're in, how far, when they did what they did. You just have to know when the years start and just keep on that cycle and go back. It's that simple. But see, they did everything to fudge the starting point. There's no way we could have gotten this if we didn't go into Enoch and started reading Enoch. When the brothers sent this, we went back into it and looked at every ounce of it, every part of it. Say, okay, now I'm seeing it. I'm going to show you something here. Remember last week I said, man, there's no one out there following the holy days it's an ignorance, but it wasn't no one out there following it according to the course, including us. Okay? Because you can only follow what you're exposed to, what you know. But when the understanding comes, you must apply it and then go tell the children of Israel. Finish reading.
This is the middle of verse 35 of chapter 6.
Go ahead.
It says, for I know, and from henceforth will I declare it unto thee, and it is not my own devising. For the book lies written before me, and on the heavenly tablets the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles.
He says, lest they forget the feast of the covenant, which is of the book, and walk after the feast of the Gentiles. Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving. You think all these things fall by chance? It have nothing to do with the people they're telling you about. It falls according to the luminary worships. It falls according to the Babylonian and Egyptian way and the Roman way. Their customs following fallen angels and demons. Finish reading.
It says, after their error and after their ignorance.
After their error and after their ignorance. A lot of us were just ignorant. We figured, okay, well, the Jewish people are following the holy day like this. We'll just start off and try to do some of the things they're doing. No way. You'd be better off staying a Christian and not knowing than following what they're doing. Because they are knowingly following Satan. Okay? Finish reading.
For there will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon.
Of the what?
Of the moon.
They will set their holy days according to the moon. That would be the error that the children of Israel will make. You notice our calendars? We would say, okay, well, here's a new moon. Count 14 days, Passover, off. Can't be like that. The Passover falls flawlessly on the second week from the first day of the year, of the cycle. It falls on a Sabbath every year. It's the second Sabbath. 14 days from the first 364 days. Like the Most High says, the first week of the Sabbath, second week of the Sabbath. It was from the 364-day cycle, not the moon. And I'm going to show you who gave us the moon, when they did it, what year they did it, and who did it. Okay? I'm going to give it to you. Also, I'm going to show you, even during Christ's time, 2 separate Passovers going on the same time during Christ. And it was in the scriptures the whole time. 2 separate Passovers. So it's no different today. All these different Israelite groups around here, their Passover fall on this day, their Passover fall on that day, his Passover fall on this day. Why? Because no one is doing it according to the original cycle when the year comes in. It have nothing to do with the moon. Why? Because it tells you, and I'm going back to Enoch, the sun is a male and the moon is female. Her cycle is 360 days, which is not a complete year. And her phases change throughout that 364, and sometimes she do what she want to do off cycle. And it tells you that in Enoch. It tell you in Enoch, sometimes she do what she want to do. So you cannot follow that. I'm going to show you. It says some will do what? Read it again.
It says, for there will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon.
There will be some who would make observations of the moon. And do what?
How it disturbs the seasons and comes in from year to year.
How it disturbs the seasons and come in from year to year. Go ahead.
10 days too soon.
10 days too soon. Why? It comes in 10 days too soon. A moon is a 30-day cycle in its phases. Common sense will tell us that you do 30 12 times. That's 354 days. That's 10 days too soon. It's not a complete year. See that? So if you go 360 days for a year over and over and over and over again, what will happen? Think about it. You will think that time have expanded, like you and all these different, like the years is now more than what you think they are, because it comes in 10 days too soon. Now, if you do this for 10,000 years, what year you're in? Okay? Do you know someone purposely came into Jerusalem and killed our priests and made the priests that were living follow the holy days by the moon? And that's why we began to do it in our culture. And the Most High said, do away with it. I will not hear it. I don't want no part of it. Because that's what will begin to throw us off of our cycle and the frequency with the Most High, our God, Ahia. All right? Finish reading what you have there.
This is the book of
You got some of the
Jubilees.
Dead Sea Scrolls?
Oh, yeah, I'll read it after.
Okay.
This.
All right.
It says, this is the book of
I'll
Jubilees,
hold
chapter
that
6.
close.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Chapter 6, verse 36.
Go ahead.
As a matter of fact, the middle of 36. How it disturbs the seasons and comes in from year to year, 10 days too soon.
10 days too soon. That's 354 days, not a complete year. Go ahead.
For this reason, the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order and make an abominable day, the day of testimony.
See that? By following the moon, we make an abominable day, the days of testimony. Read.
And an unclean day, a feast day.
And an unclean day, a feast day. See that? That's crystal clear. We've been following what they've given us. What our teachers have taught us. We've just been following it. And it's been hard having okay, what phase of the moon? Okay, when did the moon come out? Every year you get exhausted just to try to set up some holy days, when the majority of the holy days fall right on a Sabbath. Okay, quite simple. A lot of them. Right? You wanted to bring some out of Dead Sea Scrolls?
Yeah, real quick, just coinciding with what we're reading there.
Okay, the Dead Sea Scrolls. Oh, hold up. Before you bring that out there, because it's something I want to, before you do that, all right? Because there's something I want to bring here that will mesh directly with this. All right? I know where you're going. All right. We're going to go into the Dead Sea Scrolls too and give you the history on that. But before we go there, let's go back to Enoch and read about the moon now. And before we do that, let me pause this before they cut this.